Thank you so much for joining us today as we share a significant step forward into our commitment to improving public safety. The launch of the expanded Crime Strategies Unit, which I believe you all have a handout detailing what this unit will do and its scope. When I campaigned for this position, I promised a more strategic approach to prosecution, and today we begin to deliver on that promise. Our expanded Crime Strategies Unit will now have 3 experienced prosecutors assigned to it. Chief Trial Assistant Ben Cox, Assistant Prosecuting Attorneys Claire Wyatt and Araya Dixon. Dedicated to handling cases involving high-impact offenders with extensive criminal history and Save KC clients. These assistant prosecutors will work with our office's law school interns, data analysts, both Joseph and Nisha, who are also here with us this morning, KCPD patrol liaisons, to track repeat offenders, identify patterns, and ensure repeat offenders are held accountable. You'll hear more from 2 of our CSU prosecutors here shortly. The CSU will handle the property crime docket, allowing us to connect the dots between incidents and recognize when we are dealing with serial offenders. Not only will this help us build strong cases that lead to appropriate charges, but also inspire behavioral changes in the long run. The Crime Strategies Unit prosecutors will also handle probation violation and bond hearings for high-impact offenders. Their knowledge of each offender's criminal history will allow them to provide the courts with well-informed recommendations. And finally, the Crime Strategies Unit will maintain a strong presence in our neighborhoods, working directly with neighborhood associations and business groups to gather intelligence about emerging crime trends. Every day, I hear from community members and business owners across Jackson County who feel the impact of property crime in their daily lives. From small business owners who find their storefront window shattered for the 3rd time, to the family who had their only vehicle stolen. Property crimes like these are causing financial hardships and inconveniences for far too many. I also hear about the impact of violent crime. Violent crime doesn't just affect individual victims. It ripples through entire neighborhoods, leaving families in fear, businesses struggling, and communities fractured. It erodes trust, limits opportunities, and undermines the sense of safety that every single resident in Jackson County deserves. Many times these crimes are committed by the same individuals over and over again. We've seen a smaller number of repeat offenders cause the majority of harm in our community, and their impact often falls through the cracks of our criminal justice system. And they fall through the cracks not because we don't care. Sometimes repeat offenders have cases prosecuted by different prosecutors or in different jurisdictions, and no one has a way of seeing the full scope of their criminal behavior. Or bond and probation hearings may take place without the full scope of the offender's criminal history or risk to our community. This changes today. The Expanded Crime Strategies Unit is about being smart, strategic, and focused on those who are causing the most harm in our community. I want to thank the amazing prosecutors who are now assigned to the Crime Strategies Unit. I'd also like to thank our talented data analysts, Joseph and Nisha, who I mentioned are here with us today. Public safety remains our highest priority, and the expansion of the Crime Strategies Unit is a key to a safer Jackson County. Next, I will turn it over to the new unit's Chief Trial Assistant, Ben Cox, to talk more about high-impact offenders and how the unit will be working to create an innovative prosecution strategies. After that, we will hear from APA Claire Wyatt, who will talk more about how the unit will be working with Save KC, our new focused deterrent strategy, and what community engagement for this unit will look like. Ben, absolutely.
Good morning. Thank you, Melesa, and thank you for giving Claire, Araya, Joseph, Nisha, and me the opportunity to dedicate ourselves full-time to crime strategies. The Crime Strategies Unit is going to address all kinds of crime. That can range from gang violence, which can include murders, the most violent crime that we have, all the way down to misdemeanors committed by high-impact offenders. We're doing that because our office recognizes that the crime's impact on community does not necessarily correspond to the level of crime that the code attaches to it. Class A felonies obviously impact our community, but also lower level crimes, when done by repeat offenders to the same people, can have significant impact too. And our unit is going to deal with all kinds of crimes like that. But to do so, we need the community's help. I, along with my team members, have already been meeting with community members to identify high-impact offenders and to think and strategize of creative ways how we can make sure those people are brought to justice. High-impact offenders are people who have committed 2 or more felonies or 3 or more other offenses against a single person, business, or community. If you have a community meeting that addresses crime, please let our office know. And Melesa will make sure that one of the Crime Strategies Unit's attorneys will attend that meeting, communicate with you, and identify people who are impacting your community in this way. Once we do that, we can work with victims and the police to ensure that enough evidence exists to charge these high-impact offenders. And then we'll communicate with the court about why these people should be kept in jail. On the other end of the spectrum is, of course, violent crime. Last year, we began the Save KC program, which is a focused deterrence program dedicated to reaching members of the community who are most likely to commit violent crimes. Now, I had prepared some words on Save KC to share with you today, but I read Claire's remarks earlier this morning, and she said it much better than I could. And so I'm going to turn over the podium to Claire to address Save KC, and then we can all answer any questions that you might have.
Thank you, Ben. And thank you, Melesa. Good morning, everyone. My name is Claire Wyatt, and I will be one of the prosecutors in the Crime Strategies Unit. So like Ben was saying, Save KC is a program that we will be heavily involved in the Crime Strategies Unit. And Save KC utilizes what's called a focused deterrence model. And it's sometimes referred to as lever pulling. And that theory recognizes that in most American cities, the majority of the crime is committed by a very small percentage of that city's residents. So our model, Save KC, identifies individuals in our community who are close to violence. That may be as a suspect, that may be as a victim, that may be as a witness, and in some cases, it's all three. We then attempt to find these individuals and deliver a message. And that message consists of a plea to get help and stop the cycle of violence, as well as a genuine offer of robust services and resources, from case management to educational and vocational services to healthcare and food assistance, trauma therapy, substance abuse treatment, parenting or healthy relationships classes, rent, utility assistance, and more. We also provide a fair warning to those individuals regarding the potential risk to their lives and to their freedom if they continue to engage in crime or associate with those who do. Now, we spent the last year meeting with community members and fine-tuning our approach. And while differing pockets of the city seem to have differing opinions about what crimes affect them most, one thing is clear. Kansas City is fed up with the gun violence in our streets and the prolific property crime offenders who diminish our quality of life. The key to Save KC is collaboration and communication. We work with police, probation and parole, federal, state, and municipal courts, community members, elected officials, the community service providers, and law enforcement on all levels. So this provides us with a number of those levers that we can pull either for or against the individual, depending on what route they choose to take. However, our community engagement in CSU is not limited to Save KC intelligence gathering. We also meet with the community regularly to listen to their perspectives and learn how to serve them better. Over the past year, we received a restorative justice grant and revived a diversion program for first-time offenders, some of whom are accused of low-level violent crimes. And we use the Center for Conflict Resolution to handle these and supervise these diversion programs. We've continued to impanel our community advisory board, which makes policy recommendations to our office and to the police. We've maintained a public dashboard that provides data to the community about our office's work. We even co-hosted an expungement event last fall with the Urban League and connected people with expungible felony offenses in their past with access to expungement resources, which will enable them to secure better jobs and safer housing. These are all violence reduction strategies supported by empirical research and data. We attempt to message the community about these programs and their outcomes so that we can collaborate more effectively and transparently with the people that we serve. I'm going to hand it back over to Melesa now, and I think open it up for questions.
Yes. Thank you very much, Claire. Ben, Araya, Nisha, and Joseph, again, we are really excited to get this initiative off the ground. And with that, we will open up the floor to any questions, should there be any.
Could you just speak to like the practical elements, like how many people will be assigned to this units, up to staffing up for this, like just speak to the practical.
You have to start somewhere. And so for right now, you're looking at the team right here. 3 attorneys, 2 data analysts. The goal is to always staff up, especially as I envision this unit getting busier and busier, the more we are able to engage with the community and identify those high impact offenders and continue to grow Save KC. And one thing that I failed to mention about Save KC, last month in February, all of our Save KC clients, not a single one of them committed a homicide, and only one is a suspect in a non-fatal shooting. That is remarkable. And so I know it's too early to definitively assign the successes to the work that we have been doing, but I definitely feel like we are heading in the right direction.
You mentioned something that Chief Graves has mentioned a lot too, that there's a small group of people doing the majority of the crimes. Can you speak on that a little bit more?
Absolutely. You don't just wake up one day and decide that you're going to go on a rampant robbery spree or steal a ring of cars. That type of behavior builds up, and when you are looking at the repeat offenders in our community, they didn't get there overnight. And so once they have reached that level of criminality, they typically reoffend, and reoffend again. And so again, it is a small number of people in our community causing the vast majority of crime in our community, and that is what this unit will be focused on. More questions? Thank you all so much for coming. We look forward to working with you all as we continue to grow and amplify this work. Thank you very much.